This is second part of chapter 1. We discussed the prefixes, and prefixes are this word. You can think about the roots to discuss, to talk about the multipliers, like in the form of exponents. For example, if instead of 1,000, you will say kilo and kilo. For example, 1,000 meter, instead of say 1,000 meter, you'll say a kilometer. That's the symbol K. And mathematically, it is 10 to the third, which means 10 times 10 times 10, and so on. Or if it's 1,000th, which means divided by 1,000, you call it milli. So instead of say 1,000, you simply say milli. So if you have a meter stick, like the one I showed in class, you slice that stick into 1,000 slices. One of these tiny slices is called a millimeter. So, or 10 to the negative third meter. In other words, divide a meter stick into 1,000 pieces, or divide by 10 3 times. That's 10 to the negative 3, so milli. So all these, I'm not really forcing you as a student to actually remember everything, but when you are dealing with, you know what these are for, and later on when you hear this in real life or in your interaction with people of other discipline, and you will know where to find out the information. So exercises. Okay, what are the 4 fundamental units? We have length, mass, time, and electric current. And what are the prefixes? Actually, I just talked about in previous slides. 10 to the negative 3, simply called milli. What is the mass of 1 millimeter of water? Imagine that little tiny cube with the size of 1 centimeters, okay, the size of a fingertip. So it's 1 gram. What is the density of water? It is, you can simply say it's 1. And in what units? In grams per cubic centimeter, or kilograms per liter, or ton per cubic meters. And of course, here's another question about which one of the following is the best example of using referent. A red bicycle, a big as a dump truck, and planet Mars, or your textbook. And B, big as a dump truck, because you try to describe how big something is. You say, well, you use a truck, and then this is the other thing, okay, different thing than whatever you are talking about. Again, this is the quick way to memorize the metric system and the prefixes. And you can say, well, every time you go by 1,000, 3 of the decimal places, you will have a name. So milli, of course, with the exception of centimeter or decimeter, and everything go up, and you will go 10 to the third every time and go down. So this is easy to remember. One of the things I want you to remember, and usually I'm not a big fan of pushing students to remember a lot of things. I would like students to be very creative, could be a good thinker, and could derive things from themselves. And for something that's used very often, it's good to remember it. So how much is a liter? So it's if 1 decimeter is about this, as the size of your palm, a liter is with this size to make a cube. Think about a cube which you can hold in your hands, and a cube like this, imagine. But each side is a decimeter. A decimeter is a 10 centimeters. So 10 centimeter, 10 centimeters. So that big is a decimeter. So imagine how big this is. But then once again, if this is a container, this is the cup of this size, you fill this with water, that water weighs exactly 1 kilogram. Therefore, how much is 1 liter of water? What's its mass? Well, 1 kilograms. Okay, exercise times. So the first one will be easy. Measure the size. We had a cube in our class, and you just what will be the volume and 1,000 cubic centimeters. What is the mass of given in kilograms? So we actually weigh with a scalar if you were present in the class. And if a bridge is 23,000 centimeters, the length in length, how many meter long? So remember, 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So remove 2 zeros, so it's 230 centimeters. How many meter are in 23 kilograms? Oh, just remember what kilo means. What is prefix of thousand? We already just talked about it. And thousands, it's kilo and mega, or kilo and milli, excuse me. So what's the prefix for million? That's mega. And what is prefix for millions? That's actually called a micron. So densities, okay, densities are mass per unit volume. What is the density of mercury of 20 centimeter and mass of, so 272 divided by 20 and you get something like 13. And what is the mass of 10 centimeters? And you just have to find out the density from online or in the back of your textbook, and you find out the density of the mass of this cube. Okay, so now density is actually a ratio, okay, and it's a mass over a volume. So different material or different substances have different densities. For example, gold has 19 grams per cubic centimeter, and where iron has less, same volume, but iron only have 7.9, and water always have 1. So density of water is 1 kilograms per liter and 1 gram per cubic centimeter. And air is very light, so but it's still not weightless. It's 0.0013 g. So once again, density is mass divided by volume, and it will represent a Greek letter rho. And we discussed this in class. This is some quick notes. This is just review. And remember, to measure area, it's measured in square of length. So square centimeter, square feet. And if you buy a house, the area of the rooms are measured in square feet. And then you have making a square, to be literally. So if I have 2 centimeter on one side, 2 centimeter on one side, and that square actually equal to 2 times 2, 4 centimeters squared. Whereas if you talk about volume, it's length cubed, which means length times length times length again. So for example, if I have 2 centimeter on this side, 2 centimeter on this side, 2 centimeter on the vertical side, and that cube with the size 2 is how many cubic centimeter, and that will be 2 times 2 times 2. Again, that is 8. So you can imagine there are 8 of these tiny cubes put together, make this big cube.